My mother, when she was pregnant with my twin brother and I, she was divorced. She remarried once we were 2 years old, and I never felt like I was missing a father figure. He had a hard time connecting with us and sharing feelings with us, and that was something in our household that I don't think we dealt with very good.
So I went to a camp and had an encounter with God, and it was really at that moment I felt this call to youth ministry, the church ministry.
I finally had the courage to ask her if she would date me.
I did not know what I was getting into.
Yeah.
As a family, I think we had a trouble discussing our feelings and sharing our feelings and being vulnerable to each other. I became a closed book. I had a lot of fear of rejection, and that's when the drugs and alcohol seemed like that was the answer to my fear.
Grew from 12 to 100, and thinking that the church was going to be excited about that, I kept meeting some walls there. It's too loud, or there's too many kids here running around and all that. And so I kind of moved from that to another church to try it out. And then it ended up being the wrong color of students coming there.
We moved in together in my parents' itty-bitty little apartment, and about 6 months later I found out I was pregnant. Surprise!
Yeah.
That changed our world.
I went into the medical field. I was a person that was in charge of taking care of somebody in their weakest moments, in their lowest moments, when they're hurting and in pain. And it wasn't long before when I started my job that what I was using to help alleviate their pain was something that I was going to be using as well.
So I moved from that to another church, and it was really after that experience at that church that I kind of called it a quits. I was like, this is not what I thought. I thought the church was going to reach out to everybody, love everybody, but that just wasn't true that I was finding out. And so I kind of left my last church seeking something else.
We got to a place that was really rough, and I think I believed the lies that the enemy told me every single day, that I wasn't good enough. I wasn't a good enough mom. I wasn't a good enough wife. That Josh did what was right, and he didn't choose me per se.
If I wasn't obtaining it easily through work, I was lying or stealing or cheating somehow to convince family members or friends that I needed something that they had, which was opiates, which were pills.
We decided that enough was enough.
It wasn't worth fighting for anymore. We fought all the time, and so we decided to separate.
I had hit my bottom. I was either going to die taking pills, or I was gonna kill somebody else at work, or I was gonna go to jail.
We ended up in Albany, Georgia. We left everything to come here, and the only problem was we didn't have anything. And we were kind of here just seeking, wanting to find something to, find that next thing that we were to do. And it wasn't going to be church. I was really mad at God. Like, God, why? Like, what's happening here? I felt the call to ministry, but that's not happening. It's like the most miserable times. Like, what are you doing in our life? Like, why is this stuff happening?
We spent about 6 weeks apart. Only talked. We sat down and went to dinner and said, is this it? Is this what this has come to? Are we calling it quits?
We heard of a night of worship at Providence Church, and we decided, hey, let's give that a try. I talked to Josh. I said, man, can you pray for me? I have absolutely nothing. I don't have a job. I don't have money. I don't have a house. I don't have a purpose. I don't have the very thing that makes me happy and gives me joy has been taken from me, and I just don't know what to do.
That morning that I told my wife that I had an addiction problem and who I really was one of the worst days of my life, but it was also the beginning of and the best day of my life. I think that she's a godsend for me. She loves Jesus with all her heart. And she's such an example for me and my children.
And we literally sat there over dinner and rekindled something that was
She loves
lost.
Jesus with all her
God
heart.
showed up in an incredible way because it was that week where I had money, I had a job, I had purpose, I had all these things that we prayed for that night, and I was pretty excited to come
Was
back
lost.
to Providence
She
Church
loves
because I
Jesus
wanted
with
to
all
tell
her
him that,
heart.
like, dude, whatever you did, it worked, and I want some more of that.
It was that
I
moment
had
when we
a
decided
job.
we're not going through with this. We ripped up the divorce agreements and said we're not
I
going
had,
back there. Never will again.
He chose me, and I officially felt like he could have walked away. But I can tell you, without a
That-
shadow of
that
a doubt,
we
that
prayed
there is
for.
absolutely nothing that God cannot redeem. And we're living proof.
that night, and
Our marriage is living proof.
When I used to go to church, I
was
found
pretty
religion,
excited.
but when I found recovery and I found God.
Was lost.
And
She
that's
loves
been the
Jesus with
difference
all.
in my life.
Tell him that. Like,
dude,
through all that, we started
her heart.
to find this joy back in our life of being
Whatever
in a
you
ministry.
did,
It worked, and ultimately that's what I wanted.
And once I knew that he loved me,
And I want some more.
but that the Father loved me even more, it was like there's just a weight
had
lifted off
a
of my
job.
shoulders. And I feel like that's when we began to live.
I think for
I
6
had,
months,
purpose.
every morning when I'd hear worship and sing, I had tears. You know, I felt clean. I was not shameful. There was no guilt anymore.
that we prayed so for. I was so excited about God not giving up on me like I thought he had.
that
The
night,
very
and
thing that I thought I was done with, God was like, no, you're not done. I need
was
you for
pretty
this.
I can't
excited.
thank God enough, and my connection with Him is.
Was lost.
If I don't have that
She loves
connection
Jesus with all
God, then
Tell him that.
and
Like,
then
dude,
I'll lose my sobriety.
her heart.
I'll lose my family. I'll lose everything that I have.
Whatever you
if
did,
I don't
it worked.
Continue to take my fears, my resentments, my character defects
and I want some more of that.
to God.
You're living proof that if you don't give up on
I had
anything
a job.
and seek God through all,
I
He will
had,
bring it back
purpose.
together, no matter what it is.
I